Justin has asked me to talk about an experience that he and I and Jimmy all shared, so Justin shared it prenatally. After Jim and I were married, the first job that he had was as the editor of the Valley Press in Felton. And he worked really long hours, but one of the perks of the job was that he got to do a lot of interesting things. And he got to go out and interview really interesting people. And sometimes I got to go along. I was working, so I didn't always get to go along frequently. I wish I could have, but one experience that we had that was really neat was that we went to interview these brothers who they were tree men. I'm thinking they had a tree business. That was what they did, because on another occasion they came out and tried to rescue one of our cats out of a tree. But anyway, their sideline was that they rescued, if you will, rattlesnakes and trained them and performed with them. And so if you found rattlesnakes on your property, which in that area was not at all uncommon, if you found rattlesnakes on your property, you'd call these guys up and they'd come and, take the rattlesnakes away. So we went to interview them, and we got to their house, and among other things they told us that they never kept any kind of anti-venom around because they felt that if they did that, then it would encourage them to be sloppy. So they didn't keep any kind of, as I said, anti-venom around in case anything did get bitten. And one of the things that they told us, which I thought was kind of interesting, is that actually the bite of a baby rattlesnake or a young rattlesnake is much more likely to be fatal than that of an older one, because the babies just cut loose with everything that they've got and just totally unload, whereas the older ones will keep some in reserve and maybe not dump quite so much, in fact, dump quite a bit less. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So we went to their house, and we're talking to them, and we knew that they kept rattlesnakes, and actually they showed us some. They did incredible things with the rattlesnakes. So they taught them to perform. And one of the things that they showed us was they had a cage of rattlesnakes, and they taught the rattlesnakes to pull this little wagon. It was pretty amazing. Anyway, so we're in the living room talking to these people, and I noticed this big hassock-sized basket on the floor, and I'm thinking, I wonder if there's rattlesnakes in there. And so we're talking and talking and talking. And at that time, I was about, gosh, I must have been a good 6 months pregnant with Justin. I mean, I was definitely, like this. And so they asked if we'd like to see the rattlesnakes, and we said yes. And so they took the lid off the basket, and slowly these rattlesnakes started coming out of the basket, and up and down and across the floor. And I see that they're coming toward me. And I thought, and they had talked about how one of the things that they did with their rattlesnakes was that they petted their rattlesnakes to get them used to being handled. And so I'm seeing these rattlesnakes coming toward me. And so I said, do you think I could pet the rattlesnakes? And they said, yes, if you pet them very carefully, very gently, don't make any sudden movements or anything, you can pet the rattlesnakes. And so pretty soon, this big rattlesnake comes up. And I'm sitting in this chair, the rattlesnake comes up, and he's just like this, right over my tummy where Justin was, and so I'm petting this rattlesnake. I petted this rattlesnake for a while, very gently, and he seemed to like it, and after a while, he curled up, and I'm sitting there with the rattlesnake curled up in my lap, and we stayed like that for a while, and we chatted and talked, and, after a while, the rattlesnake uncurled and slowly slithered back down, and that was it. The article appeared in the paper, and later I thought to myself, maybe that wasn't really very bright since I was pregnant. If I'd been bitten, not only might I have died, if there's no anti-venom for quite a while, for quite a ways, and Justin would have been injured too, but I didn't think about it.
No, I fully approve of that.
You fully approve?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the story of petting the rattlesnakes. So.
How many rattlesnakes do you think were there that they had rescued?
I have no idea. I know that there were about...
Well, are we talking dozens, or...?
Yeah. They had at least 6 or 7 in the basket, so...
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Have a big